Okay. At paragraph 78, can you recount the details of the WhatsApp call you received from Advocate Johnson on 6 December 2024?
Before I respond, Chairperson, I would like to put context that this is in relation to the 4 Orlando dockets, 3 Orlando dockets and 1 Villera dockets that were requested by Advocate Johnson from General Jacobs to actually go to IDAC. So to start with the testimony, on the 6th of December 2024, at 15:08, I received a WhatsApp call from Advocate Johnson, who requested, and I want to underline, my intervention in relation to IDAC dockets, which were kept in General Jacobs safe, which will be Divisional Commissioner Inspectorate. And I think I pause to mention at this point that at the time this call was made, General Jacobs was the appointed chairperson of the NAC Joint Committee on ESCOM that was investigating maleficence that affected the performance of the utility. So in my mind, these dockets had to do with state capture because the specific mandate of IDAC, as outlined in Section 28 of the NPA Act, is that they will deal with serious, complex and serious and complex economic crimes. And I think the first thing was, why would General Jacobs keep the dockets in his safe? And this is, again, per protocol. I've got an annexure here that comes from his environment that says this is not the practice that we promote. Neither General Jacobs or Advocate Johnson specified what these dockets were all about. The email was sent on the 6th of December, Friday, at 15:39. Based on these 2 letters, then I engaged General Jacobs and informed him of the request for these dockets. And I need to mention, Chairperson, that I am not General Jacobs' supervisor. In actual fact, in terms of the rank, he's my senior because he was appointed in 20, I think, way before me. So in talking to him, it was in my capacity as the DevCom detectives. I'm saying this because at the committee it was said that I am his supervisor. I am not. On the contrary, actually, he would have been my senior. And then we spoke about the dockets, that actually he should hand over the dockets. Advocate Johnson mentioned that he mustn't, interfere with criminal matters, and my thinking was that they could even charge him for defeating the ends of justice. And again, at this time, neither of them, not Jacobs, not Advocate Johnson, specified what these dockets were in relation to, and they were not bound by law to do that. I only got to know that these dockets were in relation to the arrest of General Khumalo when General Mkhwananzi called me. I remember I was from overseas on the 26th of July, Saturday, and asked me if I knew that these dockets were in relation, or actually these are the dockets that led to the arrest of General Khumalo and others. And I was totally shocked. At that point in time, I felt the need to then inform National Commissioner to say, actually, this is the email that came from Advocate Johnson. At that time, if I may mention it here, advocate that the National Commissioner looked at the time at which the dockets were requested and said to me that this was at the time when the PKTT team was conducting a takedown operation at Senthumule's home. So he drew that inference, but we didn't discuss the matter further.
At the next section, you deal with what we had not quite dealt with is why were these dockets being requested from you and not from Lieutenant General Jacobs? Why were they not asked? Why did Advocate Johnson not directly request these from Jacobs?
The custodian from the province already gave according to Johnson, gave a go-ahead. So the next person to intervene is National.
Where was Jacobs, is the question.
He was the DevCom Inspectorate, but responsible for that ESCOM project.
So he was away at the ESCOM project And this is the reason why they were being requested from you.
That's the reason why I thought, yeah.
Okay.
The date at which the intervention took place was the 6th, and the date on which the legal opinion was signed is the 11th. So which means it was signed after the intervention was requested.
That's why I said again, Senthumule cannot be trusted. I could not trust her in 2012. That's why I removed her from crime intelligence. I cannot trust her now when she appears before these two commissions. And what surfaces after that is this recording. So it's a person that you need to trust with your own, risk your own life to trust. Otherwise, I still don't understand how she ended up being in a position that she's in the organization.
Advocate Johnson was not merely supervising. She was dictating key decisions throughout the investigation. Before we left Advocate Johnson's office, she said that the dockets had to be collected that day and instructed me to draft a written request immediately for her signature. And she repeated that the dockets must be collected today. I did not understand the urgency, especially as it was Friday and nothing would happen until Monday anyway. She told me to address the letter to Major General. There is an error here. I was told to address the letter to Major General Khumalo. I didn't know the first name at the time, as I had previously explained. Mr. Perumal instructed Mr. Rapesu to collect the dockets immediately. He should not wait for the letter because he, Mr. Perumal, wanted to take the dockets home with him to Eastern Cape. Mr. Perumal also mentioned that Mr. Padiachi had already been briefed on the matter. I found this very strange because we were being briefed for the first time on the Section 2813 authorization, and it had only been signed earlier that morning. Clearly, Mr. Padiachi was briefed on an investigation that he knew would be authorized before it was authorized. Allow me to digress again before I continue the timeline.
Wear the uniform.
Have you had any feedback from the IDAC on their investigations into the matters you raised with them?
The only feedback I ever get from the IDAC is that the investigation is underway and they are making progress.
And if I then may conclude on that note, it goes further and one picks up from the charts that both of you have a very close relationship with General Senthumule.
Yes, well, I don't know how close his relationship was with her, but I had a very close relationship with her.
No, you must be aware because when General Senthumule, according to this chart, was down with COVID, you and General Khan were planning what you should cook for General Senthumule, some dal soup and other fancy soups. And there were complaints that she's not picking up. You advised, no, she's not picking up because due to her level of incapacity, she was advised to switch off the phone. Then it comes back to you at some point, I eventually managed to talk to her. So you do know that he too has got a close relationship with General Senthumule, and the issue is that both of you have this relationship and you were both concerned when she contracted COVID.
Correct.
Okay. Now,